Hello, everybody. Welcome to it's
Hey,
Gen Walt-tober, the animated Gen Walt-tober. The end, really, because next
yeah.
week's going to be a special Halloween
And
spooky show.
for a minute there, when I was watching tonight, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect," because I would definitely be the first person to say this sucks. Change it off of these episodes.
Hmm.
Yes, tonight we're talking about because we finished all the She-Hulk regular series. Now we're talking about some cartoons that She-Hulk showed up in. Her first appearance in 1982's Hulk cartoon, and then the 2009's what's it, superhero show something.
Marvel Superhero Squad show.
Yeah, superhero
Yeah.
squad. So
That a show for babies.
yeah, show for babies. Although I do got to bring up the fact that they have Tony Stark in there makes it a lot hornier and less child friendly, I think, than the show
Yeah,
from 1982 was, which was surprising.
Yeah,
yeah,
the 1982 one was very much supposed to just be a regular old cartoon, not necessarily for babies or for adults, just regular.
Yeah.
The Superhero Squad show, that was definitely a show for babies. That also, She-Hulk kept on bugging Tony about calling her back after sleeping with her.
That's so weird.
yeah.
Nothing in
Um,
the comics did they ever hook up? You guys know?
I'm sure that they did.
yeah. I'm pretty confident that they did at some point in time. Um, I don't remember exactly when. Um,
I'm sure he
It's
doesn't
probably
either.
multiple times.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I the thing that I thought was most striking from like I expected it when I started watching the 1982 cartoon of it just being like generally like toxic behavior throughout. Um, but then like it was weird to me when I was watching the new version that's aimed at younger kids, where it's like,
Right.
oh, this is, if anything, much more blatant toxic masculinity,
Yeah.
just being like spoon fed, and the lady has less agency than either of the two ladies in the 1982
Right.
comic or cartoon. Like, not saying that she had a lot in the first one, but
It was something.
yeah,
She was doing her own thing, and
Yeah, her life didn't revolve around the man, which is
right.
all that we got out of the superhero squad show.
Yeah.
Is like, yes, she's strong, but the only thing she seems to care about is this one man's opinion of her.
Yeah.
and
And
like
then
in the
it was
1982, it was the I've got my own thing going on, but I'm willing to give it all up for this other dude, um, even though I'm clearly better at everything. Um, so yeah,
yeah.
that was
So, the 1982 cartoon, we get Hulk and She-Hulk, who still have the traditional out of control, in control of themselves uh, sort of paradigm between them, but She-Hulk definitely looks like Savage She-Hulk rather than
Right. Yeah.
uh, any sort of costume. She just has a torn dress that appears no matter what she's wearing
Right.
before she hulks out. And as soon as she dehulks, she goes back to whatever outfit she was wearing before she hulked out and ended up
Yeah.
in a torn dress.
It's two separate physical forms. The Hulk similarly is shirtless and just in ripped pants. When he goes back to Bruce Banner, his shirt shows back up magically.
and he has a
Take
tie,
care of themselves. Yeah.
so um, yeah, that didn't make sense. Um, I also did enjoy in the first one where the hydrocarbon research to fix the environment was
Right.
also the science needed for a supervillain to destroy the world, which was a nice like
Did you say hydrocarbon or hydrocarbon?
hydrocarbon.
Okay.
But I that's what I said. I
Yeah.
don't know what it actually is.
I think hydrocarbon is what it turned into when they were using it.
Yeah. But yeah, I just like the 1980s messaging of like gas companies are good. This science is gonna turn against you. Deal with the smog. Um,
Yeah, I think Smog's bad now. Wait till it turns solid, and I'm not sure what it is after
Pulls
that.
you into the sewers.
Yeah, stinky down
um, but yeah, I think my favorite part of that episode was when so it all revolves around her trying to catch this guy that's involved with Hydra, and it turns out that it's her friend, and the other guy just kind of looks like him. But
there.
like
That was confusing.
the throwaway line
another
at the
guy,
end of
yeah.
like, oh no, I can see why you're confused. I used to be involved with Hydra. I did my time for that. Let's go out for dinner and I'll tell you about it. Where it's just like, what the like just that I used to be involved with the Nazi terrorist organization, but
Yeah.
I got arrested and let me use that as my pickup line.
Mhm.
You're clearly against it, and I can't be a part of it anymore because of the whole parole. Like that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Which
I also like that both guys were the only people on the show that had mustaches, and both hit on her every scene that they were in together.
Yeah.
yeah,
Just that's standard mustache behavior.
Hmm. It's like if you have only a mustache, that's the kind of person that you are.
uh,
Iron Man had a mustache in the 80s.
Yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
I feel like the beard, the mustache and goatee that isn't like matched up. That beard is just covering up for the mustache.
Right.
Let me turn down the volume on my.
On your horse.
Yeah. I'm sorry to be doing this stream while I'm also riding my horse. But
Yeah, you have to give it that. It needs to exercise every day, otherwise.
it doesn't have a washer dryer that it can.
Right. You stiff for exercise.
Yeah.
Plus, you get to do the look at your podcast host. Look at me. Look at your podcast host. Look at me. I'm on a horse.
But yeah, I
It
feel
wasn't
like
terrible, but it was not very good.
Yeah, I feel like it's at the level of any other cartoon from that year.
1982.
Yeah, 1982 cartoons, Saturday morning type cartoons.
there's. So I recently watched some GI Joe on Hulu,
Hmm.
which was only a couple of years after this. So it's like 88 or something like that.
Was it like the first season or?
Yeah, like I
After
was
that.
the first episode.
Okay, because
So it's a two-parter.
the quality goes way downhill after season 2 or 3. I don't remember which one, but
Oh, okay.
there's not a whole lot of quality to start with, and then it takes a nosedive.
I didn't get that far. Yeah. But like when I was watching it, I was surprised by how well it did hold up as far as like being appropriate for children. Because like there was definitely like misogyny in it, but like it was misogyny being used, and then like the Joe team being like, "That's not cool," and moving on.
Right.
And it's very much like of the time where it's like this guy might not be white, but he's still on our team and we respect him. And it's like, well, that's still definitely not the right thing to say,
Right.
but it's definitely that step in the right direction of like or promoting tolerance, even if it's coming out of an intolerant time. This one felt a little bit more just like, we don't really respect women, and you understand why.
Yeah.
And that threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that, but I was definitely not expecting the one from the 2000s to be worse.
Right. Yeah, that was very surprising.
Mhm.
Thanks. In 2009. That was 13 years ago. Yeah. Which actually, it's been a long time when we think about it. Like, a lot of the progress that we've made in that in the last like 3 or 4 years is like, wait, it's really obvious when you look at it. Yeah, the stuff from 10, 13 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I just I thought more progress had been made between 2013 and 1982 than clearly had.
Yeah.
I and I feel like that's one of the things with being male first and white second is that I'm constantly surprised by how little progress we've made. I realize not everybody else is surprised by this, but and I'm not saying that like I always think that we're in like a perfect world and I'm finding out like, whoa, sometimes things aren't cool. It's more along the lines of like, I'm aware that things are fucked up, but then every now and again I'm like, how is it still this fucked? Like,
I
this
thought
is
things
insane.
would have been a little better by now.
Yeah.
Like every now and again people will bring up like a social justice issue and I'm just like, how has anybody just not opened fire on people of power at this point in time? I don't get it. Like you hear about like rebellions of the past and like they were for much less cause. So
Yeah, just thinking like how Iron Man 2 didn't come out until a year after this. It's 2010. This Iron Man 2, and that was very much like when that was when they brought in Black Widow, and it was very super sexualized in that.
Oh yeah, no. Every shot of Black Widow starts with her ass.
Yeah. So it's still, even when the Marvel movies are, kind of making more progress in the major blockbuster movie world than other things where it's still, it's like that was fine. It's like, oh yeah, that's what we kind of expect to see. Similarly, if there's the cartoon show, it's going to be all guy dudes, and then if a female shows up, then it's, who is it that she likes? Because that's important.
right.
It's an important part of her character.
When I think like when you like compare it to like Tony Stark and Black Widow in Iron Man 2,
right.
where Black Widow has always been a femme fatale archetype, right?
Yeah.
And Tony Stark has always been a drunk, womanizing douchebag. That's his character defect that he's like trying to overcome.
Right.
So like those being included are not. It didn't strike as so harsh in Iron Man 2. Like that was like, oh, this is his character flaw, and she is exploiting that because she is the Black Widow. That's what she does, is exploit these kind of men. And they're both growing past this. In this cartoon, it was just like, no, you've just reduced these characters to this.
Right.
Like that.
There was one other female character in the episode of Superhero Squad show, which was a female robot. Who's still it's still important where her love life is. There's only one other robot, and she doesn't like him. What's he gonna do?
Right.
And that was very sad.
Yeah, and it turned out she didn't like him because she already had another robot boyfriend who was Ultron.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so surprised that a show with attitudes like this didn't have Herbie actually say out loud, "I'm a nice robot."
His little fedora, little chrome fedora on.
I mean that. Like, yeah, this show was definitely like bad to the point where I'm like, I don't think I would recommend this for children.
Right.
And there's like a lot of Marvel cartoons where I'm like, oh, this is fine. Like, it's not good enough for like me to watch it. It's not at like the Star Wars level of cartoon where it's like, oh, adults can enjoy this, even though it's meant for children. But this one is definitely like, I don't think I even want kids watching this.
Everything that they did, every joke that they had that was meant to appeal to adults, I watched it and I'm just like, this this is worse. You guys are
Yeah.
making it worse. The show was better before you made this joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, it's not the show that's being made for like 12-year-olds. You know what I mean? That maybe you can throw stuff in there for like adults, and this is like made for like babies, like actual babies. You
Yeah.
don't have to put stuff in there for grown-ups. It's fine.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like if it's our babies watching the show, like literal babies,
Yeah.
they don't need to know that the adults are engaged in the show.
Yeah.
You as an adult can look at your phone. Your baby will be fine.
Yeah.
It's watching a TV show.
well, and
It's
like
watching a cartoon. That's what the whole idea.
yeah, the whole idea about shows for babies is so that you don't have to engage with your children.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
Let
I
your children be raised by television. Look at
exactly.
us.
I'll give them.
We're all
Yeah.
to varying degrees fine.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Something to do and to talk about as we approach our 40s.
Only one of us actually still has like an active relationship with our parents, and that's what all parents are looking for
Yeah.
is to get rid of their kids. So TV is the way to go.
Yeah.
Mhm. There was this HBO show back in like the 90s. I don't remember what it was called, but it constantly had like these flashbacks to old like black and white Leave It to Beaver era TV shows
Yeah.
and movies of that stripe. Like it would
Mm,
just have like little clips of that kind of
right.
stuff
Yeah.
where it's like whenever as the guy's going through his regular sitcom plot life, uh he would constantly run into situations that would remind him of those things.
Right.
Like if and because this was a show that was like back in like 1991 or something,
Mm,
it's like it was all stuff from like the 50s that was happening to this guy.
right.
And I think to myself now, if that were to be like one of us,
Yeah.
that's going to be stuff from uh the 80s
Yeah.
and 90s. So it's like we're going to be flashing back to episodes of GI Joe or Sesame Street or
Right.
something.
For me, it's always The Simpsons,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you guys noticed in the superhero squad show, Thor he summons a vortex in the middle of space, and Tony Stark says, how could you do that? There's no air in space." And of course, there was the Simpsons line in which there is a painting of a unicorn in space, and someone's like, "Yeah, there's no. What's that unicorn breathing? There's no air in space." And then Homer goes, "There's an air in space museum." And so that's all I've been thinking about since that happened. And that's what my brain does. If there any combination of 1 to 3 words will trigger a Simpsons memory for me. And one of my favorite games is to see how many words, what's the minimum number of words I can put after the word Simpsons into Google to find the clip I'm looking for. And yeah, Simpsons air, and then scroll down a little bit and you find the Simpsons air in space. So we're going to ride out on it tonight. So it's I'm not crazy. Other people know that this is important. It needs to be memorialized on YouTube. But yeah, it's definitely a real thing. Yeah, for me, it's just The Simpsons.
I think that I probably wouldn't fit in that because I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever flashed back to a TV show when things happening. I mean, I can definitely like think about something and then find a reference, but it's not like a sudden flash.
That is 100% how my brain works.
I do think that I get that once again because like GI Joe was a big part of my childhood,
Right.
mostly because of the toys. But I do think I get the after something's happened a completely separate like, well, this is what happened, and now we know, and that like kicks in pretty quickly for me.
Mhm.
As the after episode synopsis or moral of what just happened. But I feel like that's just a storytelling trope, not necessarily from GI Joe.
Right.
It's only the clip activation. If as soon as someone says, "Well, now we know," and then you go, and knowing is half the battle.
There you
I
go.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely so. Yeah, it's not. That's not how my brain works.
Yeah, it is, as I said, 100% exactly where my brain took me once I heard you say the keywords.
Yeah.
Also, the other half of the battle is 25% blue lasers, 25% red lasers.
Yes. Um, which, if one thing my child has told me is lasers are the least precise weapon. Um,
Yeah.
Like-
I think it would be the most precise. Yeah. It's not.
Now, maybe the Joes and Cobra were operating with substandard equipment, like that one episode of Mandalorian told us that the Empire had.
Yeah.
uh,
Dream On was the name of the show that I was talking
Oh,
about.
I remember that show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do remember that show now. Yeah. I did just finish both the Book of Boba Fett, and I'm up to date on Andor. I don't know if it's still going on. Because the episode I ended on could either be a cliffhanger season finale, or there could just be more season. I don't know. But I've used my vacation well so far
Right.
to catch
Nice.
up on
Yeah.
that stuff.
12 episodes is what the series is supposed to
Wow.
run.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
going to finish on November 23rd.
Okay. Should be able to keep up to date in between now and then. So
Are we going to have Andor, November Andor?
No, no Van Bandor. Yeah.
no
Jam.
Vandor. I'd be down for that.
No Vandor. Yeah.
Um,
Do that. And all, or it's only if you guys want to say this sucks change it. Otherwise, we can continue to.
Oh
find
no, I'm
She-
saying this stuff
content.
changes it.
Okay.
If Chad will join me on this, we can do that.
I mean, there's a part of me that's just like, no. Let's keep on watching terrible cartoons that just so happen to have She-Hulk in it.
Yeah. I think we decided last week we were going to watch 2 episodes of the early '90s Fantastic Four show that had She-Hulk in it, but
Yes,
Chad decided
and Chad was the one who did all the research that said these are episodes that She-Hulk is going to be in, and
yeah.
it turns out Chad didn't vet the shows at all. And well, technically, it was true that She-Hulk was in those shows.
Right.
It was for a cumulative time on screen of less than 12 seconds. So, not real helpful when we're trying to talk about like just one
Yeah.
particular character and interpretations of her. I also tried watching the 2006 Fantastic Four cartoon that I knew She-Hulk was going to guest star in, and she had a much more sizable role in that. However,
Okay.
it is terrible to look at.
Oh, yeah.
The animation style of that show hurts me in my heart.
Oh.
Wow. Because I was really not happy with the Superhero Squad animation.
I didn't like that animation, but I didn't like it in a way where I was like, this style is made for babies,
Right.
and I can tell it's made of children's toys.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
The Fantastic Four 2006 series, it was one of those shows where, you know how manga and anime is very popular,
Yeah.
and you know how things that are popular, uh, if it makes money, you want to try and make money by doing the same things as those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now imagine if you took all of the wrong lessons about the style and just did those. That's what that series was. You need to actually see Johnny Storm's face in
Oh,
order
okay.
to understand exactly how bad this show looks.
So it kind of
Like
has
it-
like an Eon Flux kind of vibe to it, which I never really like the animation style.
Oh, Eon Flux is worlds ahead of that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a terrible show to look at, and I didn't particularly care for any of the voices either. Whereas at least with Marvel Superhero Squad, I was like, hey, I like She-Hulk's voice actor.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That
don't
was
feel
always
like
weird to me because she felt like the only person that wasn't doing like a voice.
Hmm
Right?
Yeah, she was just doing the voice actor's voice.
Yeah.
I will say that I did enjoy that they used Stan Lee as narrator in the
Hmm
1982 comic.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was. I was like, oh, we don't have to figure out a place for Stan Lee to go in this one, and for the cameo for the superhero squad, I would not put Stan Lee in it, just because I won't do that to Stan Lee.
At the time, I'm sure he was busy working on Stripperella or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was doing something equally.
Yeah, so everyone who's like, Stan Lee must be spinning at his grave watching She-Hulk work. Remember, he created Stripperella.
Yeah. It was Johnny Storm.
But yeah, you can
Voice
see
acting.
where I get this is all the wrong lessons of anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch that. Maybe we will. Maybe we will next week. Did we officialize this exchange it? Oh.
No, we're not going to watch it. We're gonna watch Werewolf by Night.
Oh, that's right.
Well-
That's what we're doing next week.
Yeah, because that's the Halloween thing that we're doing.
Yeah. So since we're talking about Stanley, just before we forget, I don't know if you guys noticed at the end of the 1982 episode, at the end of the big fight, Hulk and She-Hulk are standing there, and then a guy in headphones obliviously walks right past them, which I think is foreshadowing for Stanley's cameo in the Incredible Hulk movie.
I did not catch that, but that's a good
Yeah.
way back in the day reference. If
Yeah. I think he
Head
held on to
canon.
the idea
I
for
would say
25
that.
years. He's like, that's funny. I want to do that.
Hmm
but yeah, that was
Those were 2 cartoons.
Yeah. Well, we got to talk about the Hulk's sidekick. What was his name?
Rick Jones.
James.
Rick Jones.
I always want
Cowboy.
to call him Rick James in my head.
Is that a thing you guys know about, that guy?
Yeah, Rick
No.
Jones is up until sometime in the 80s, I want to say, he was the center of the Marvel Universe.
Really?
Yeah. Like, he was actually the weapon that we used to win the Kree Skrull War. And I say we as in Earth,
Right. Okay.
despite the fact that this was a war between the Kree
Mhm.
and the Skrull,
Right.
neither of which are from Earth.
Yeah.
You
Well,
gotta
yeah,
you gotta
I
understand
mean,
in the Marvel universe, Earth is America, and the universe is the rest of the world.
Right.
And Earth will just win wars that they have nothing to do with.
Hmm
Well, eventually the Skrull War comes to Earth, right? And then it's like, okay, now it's our problems. We have to have.
Yeah, because they were
Wolverine
fighting
fix it.
and it was crossing over to Earth. And eventually we won because Rick Jones loves superheroes and he can think of a lot of them. And they gave him the power to create everyone that he could think of.
Wait, so it's like Gozer at the end of Ghostbusters, right? Where it's like whatever he thinks of is going to come to destroy the bad guys in this case.
Yes.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
Rick Jones was also the Hulk sidekick, Captain America's sidekick for a while.
Mhm.
Oh,
I forget
He
who
was
else.
an honorary Avenger.
Yeah. Like, I forget all of the other people that he's like actually been a major
Right.
part of their comic book for at least a run. But
He's
He's
just,
most closely associated with the Hulk, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he was the kid who was in the path of the gamma bomb that Banner had to save.
Oh, so he wasn't a life debt. It's like a Jar Jar Binks situation.
Like a
yeah,
Jar
he's
Jar
like
Binks
Jar Jar
situation.
Binks of
Yeah.
the Marvel universe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Qui-Gon Jinn saved his life, so he owed him a life debt.
Mhm.
as people would call it, like that.
No, he was also very
Yeah.
close to the original Captain Marvel.
Oh, that's
Captain
right.
Marvel.
That's right.
But yeah, he's just a dude in a cowboy hat that just likes hanging out with superheroes, and they like him. And
He usually doesn't wear a cowboy hat, actually. He
that's just
like there was a good portion of his history where people kept calling him a hippie.
he didn't have the long hair. Yeah, I can
Mhm.
see that.
He's like the Jimmy Olsen of
Okay.
Marvel.
Right.
Just always plucky, kind of useless, but everybody's little buddy.
Yeah, they still have those kind of characters in comic books in the Marvel universe.
They generally tend to make those main characters now.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, they definitely do have like or people without superpowers that are like closely associated with multiple heroes. Like Maria Hill is actually one of those. Like she rose to prominence because she was just constantly in Shield storylines, and then got slowly leveled up until she was a main character on her own.
Right.
But other than being a super Shield agent, she doesn't have actual powers.
Right. But she's part of the whole thing as a Shield
Yeah.
agent. She's kind of part of the world where he's just like
Mhm.
some dude. I guess. Isn't the deal with his hot tuna tank top? Is that a thing?
That was probably the name of his band or something.
Oh, okay. It's good that he's got time
Like
for bands.
Yeah, he's always been musically inclined as a character.
That explains the
Like-
leather jacket. Yeah.
Like the original, when Hulk was either when the Gamma Bomb was about to drop, he was playing harmonica out in the field, and he's always had like guitars and stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's why they would keep him around. You know, when you're on the road, it's good to have someone who can entertain.
I really like the idea that they just like CD players they skip, MP3 players like the random features never really random.
Right.
Like you bring along a harmonica player, it's
Yeah.
always needed. Like
So that's one thing you learn in prison. Like, yeah, that's all you need. Just do that, and you just make endless numbers of songs. Because I figure when he's out there with Bruce Banner, they're just driving around the Southwest. Like, they're just also sleeping out in the desert too, right? They're not stopping at hotels. They're doing it cowboy style.
I do kind of wonder how many times though like Bruce Banner's like hulked out, but he had the keys. So then like Rick is just like, well, fuck, dude, you just jumped like 15 miles and you're not coming back, but I guess I'm hitching to wherever you wound up. Like,
So I like when the Hulk had to jump away to get to LA or back, or whatever he did. Like, it basically was just flying. It didn't even look like a jump. He was just flying.
Yeah, the jumping animations on that show were suspect at best.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know,
if
that's
I-
pretty much how I jump. Like, it's just I slowly straighten out and then I float to another spot. Like,
Nice.
Mhm.
Put your fist up and just follow it.
The part where She-Hulk lassoed the people, I was like, oh,
Right.
this is definitely stealing Wonder Woman's shtick. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it was just weird that that she was able to be kidnapped by goons. And I was like, oh no, don't hurt me. I was like, She-Hulk. Just She-Hulk. You can just Hulk these guys.
I
Still
also
had to be
love
the damsel in distress because he was 1982.
I did enjoy the fact that like they captured Jen Walters and then She-Hulk escaped from their holding, and they're like,
Right.
no idea how that happened.
Oh, that's right. It's still a secret identity. They don't know.
Yeah.
The Jen Walters is She-Hulk. I was wondering why. Yeah, because even Stan Lee even says, "Oh, she could She-Hulk through the door, but then the guards would hear." Like, who cares? She'll just punch the guards, punch their heads off. It's fine.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she
She-Hulk
ended up
stealth.
She-Hulking anyway.
Yeah. So it was fine.
Yeah, but that was Sneak Hulk, so that's
Yeah.
okay. Right.
It was fun. Yeah, so the show did not come with a flashing lights warning, but they had them strapped down to the table and the crazy strobe light things going on. That could have caused some seizures or something. Like I felt it made me feel a little woozy looking at it. I had to look away.
Back when cartoons were for the strong.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if you can't watch it because of flashing lights, you just don't get to talk about it on the playground.
Yeah.
You just have to pretend that you were watching a different episode that week whenever anyone asks about it, and make up details because no one can look it up.
Yeah, it's true.
It was
They were all
before
busy
the
watching.
internet.
Yeah, they were watching the Hulk. They can't tell you what was going on at Dukes of Hazzard that night.
Yeah, just say that you have a secret like patch into the Canadian episodes or something.
I saw this little. We thought the show was going to be on Disney Plus, which it turns out it's not.
Nope.
But-
Again, failure on the part of the researcher.
So we had to watch it on Daily Motion, which is a place where you can find a lot of less than legal versions of stuff to watch, like not super comfortable with watching things like that on there, but every once in a while it happens. So you guys get any weird ads? Like I got a lot of like business ads for like business people or something, but like who's watching
I
a lot of Daily
wasn't,
Motion? Okay.
I wasn't paying attention to any of the ads. I was just like skip, X.
I kept getting this one for some sort of like online college
Right.
thing, but like it started out with like a teacher, and it was like it cut into it, so he was like in the midst of saying "This is Lily" or something, and he pointed to I assume a little girl, but she was like at that age where it's like it was really hard to tell gender just by looking at her. She had short hair and was kind of like dressed more tomboy-esque, which is fine. But the name and how fast it cut in, I was just like, I don't know who you're referencing until the camera panned down to her. And she was apparently deaf because she had like a hearing aid or hearing challenge. And then it cut to saying like, with this university, you can decide where your money goes for your master's degree. And I was like, is this getting her master's degree, or is it the teacher? Because the teachers who we're following now,
Right.
but so far this teacher doesn't have a name. Like I don't. And how is his master's degree helping with this new child in this?
Right.
I don't know what this ad was
Do they
supposed
give your
to say.
tuition to charity? Is that what the deal is?
Right,
With the
yeah.
school?
And like that was the thing. Like none of these things that I'm pointing out about the individual actors is bad, but it was a young black teacher, a somewhat androgynous deaf child student about a master's degree online, and I was like, there's so many different social justice things in here, and it's so blatant. I feel like that's kind of what you're aiming at, but also what your product is selling has nothing to do with any of those things.
It's like a weird like AI written first draft for it.
Right.
Do you remember which college this was for?
No, and that's the thing is like it was such a bad commercial. I'm like, I don't even know. Like I'm still I'm trying to find out the different elements. I can't remember what university you're talking about. Um,
I feel
The
like
name of the
I've
university.
I feel like I've watched a lot of commercials for online colleges, and nothing sticks in my head other than Capella because it
Yeah.
sounds like a cappella.
hmm.
So I just assumed that it's the college that they went to in Pitch Perfect.
It should be. What if
That
you can acapella online? That's like the worst way to learn how to do acapella stuff. I feel self-paced. I
uh,
don't know. I'm always surprised by how many like Christian colleges there are that have nothing to do like in their name have nothing to do with it being a Christian college. But like New Mexico State something or other, and you're like, oh, but then it's all about how they're a Christian college. Yeah, I was getting ads. Yeah, it was like a weird thing of like somebody saying, "Oh, what weird like to provide HR services for companies or something." I'm like, I don't know. That's what the business owners are out here watching a lot of stuff on Daily Motion.
that's what all of their bosses are doing. Yeah,
Yeah, like this is how
Do you guys know what the opposite of a cappella is?
it's
Capella.
solo singing, right? I guess, right?
I don't know what it is. I tried looking it up, and the answer Google gave me is the opposite of a cappella is ska. Which, I mean, one, that's funny.
Yeah,
Two, I think it kind of makes sense because it's like a cappella is performing with no musical accompaniment.
right.
So, what is the most possible musical accompaniment you can get that you sing with?
Yeah,
And the two answers that come to the top of my head are either ska
yeah,
or opera.
right. Yeah, I was thinking opera, or even like a full on like symphony or something where there's
But
nobody singing.
usually with a symphony, there's no one
Right.
singing.
Yeah.
You want a singer with musical accompaniment.
Ah,
So it's like you either have the full orchestra of an opera,
right.
or you have at least a whole instrument section with ska.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would just think that wouldn't think of ska just because like they have all those brass instruments which are played with the mouth, which is like
Mhm.
as close to singing with your instrument as you can be. As opposed to,
Not as close as woodwind.
yeah.
I think that Simpsons taught us that when Homer played the saxophone,
That's true.
because saxophone is a woodwind instrument, and I actually did get away in seventh grade with just humming into my saxophone and not knowing how to play anything.
So you basically like jaw harp slash kazooed your way through the
Yeah.
saxophone. That's
Through 1 year. The second year, I had to actually learn how to play it because they're like, "We're gonna give you solos," and I'm like, "Why? Why would you do that?"
Yeah. We didn't ask for this.
I don't want this.
I don't even
It's
want to
like,
be
no, no,
here.
you have to do this so your family will be proud of you. I'm like, I don't think they will be because I'm not gonna do it well.
I do have to ask, is there videos of this? Of any of your
Uh,
saxophone playing?
I do not think that
Uh,
there any videos exist.
so he was right. His family was not proud.
yeah.
Mhm. I I don't want to say that I brought great shame upon my family, but at least a little bit, I
Yeah.
think.
You didn't bring anything to be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've brought great confirmed expectations to my family of
Mhm.
exactly how well I was going to do at at band.
Right.
Because like my grandmothers, they have like collections of things that I've done that they were proud of. There were no band
Hmm.
programs in there.
Um, but yeah, that
Yeah.
I like on the one hand, watching these has made me realize I don't know, like it feels like when I'm watching like those old cartoons that it's like I know I grew up on or whatever. Where I'm like, oh, this explains a lot about how the world is, how I thought the world worked, and why that's wrong. Like now that I look at back at it, um,
Right.
But the superhero squad was like, I did not realize that was still going on into when I was
Yeah.
virtually an adult.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
I
and
think
how
I was
young?
definitely an adult by the time Marvel Superhero Squad show came out.
Oh yeah,
Because
2009.
like at that point, I was like in therapy.
Real adult therapy, not like that kitty
Yeah,
baby therapy.
not like I got touched when I was a child. Therapy. Like, hey, I'm depressed and the world sucks. Therapy.
Yeah, I've got adult problems.
Yeah.
Therapy.
Now, I'm not saying that uh, like trauma is like something to be laughed at. I'm
Right.
just saying that
just saying,
childhood
go hang
trauma.
out with those kids that can't handle the flashing lights.
Yeah.
Childhood trauma is a very different level of therapy from I hate my life therapy.
Right.
Yeah. One of them is sort of a luxury therapy.
Yeah. Right. And that's the kind of therapy you get as an adult
Yeah.
to seek out on your own.
hmm But yeah, no like uh dug up childhood traumas or anything. It was just mostly just like, oh, why do you think that happened? And I'm like, I don't know, because everything sucks.
Yeah, I was surprised like to see all of the stuff in a show that was it's for such little kids to have that normalization of like, oh yeah, we're only gonna have two female characters in the show, and they were both gonna be here as sex objects or romantic interests.
I don't want to defend Marvel Superhero Squad show
Right.
because I know nothing about it. And for all I know, this was actually the most progressive episode they've ever had, having two females on it.
Yeah.
But we don't know that this was not a particularly egregiously bad example of the show either.
Right.
That's
Like
true, and I'm
it
not
could,
going to find out.
yeah, I don't care to watch either. But it's like for all we know, uh, the rest of the time it's mostly women and Iron Man, and they're constantly dismissing his weird creeper advances
Yeah.
because they're like, we have more important things in our lives than to stroke your ego, Tony.
Well, like I guess that's a little bit part of it too for me though. Is like, I I do not want to come off as promoting this kind of behavior at all. And I'm fine with it in TV shows when they're dismissive or pointing out that Tony Stark-esque behavior is in the wrong. But like, it is bothersome to me that the only time children are shown uh, a romantic interest like that is either comedically as the robot getting shot down or
Right.
comedically as everybody chasing after Tony Stark being toxic. Like, it's either one of the two. Like, you don't see like healthy representations ever.
Right.
Like, you can as far as like this cartoon messaging is going, it's either A, you're a jerk and then people will like you, or B, you're nice and no one will like you. That's the messaging that I'm more against.
Right.
So
I mean, just the idea that there's a girl here, so now someone's got to like her, or she's got to like somebody, right?
right.
That's part of her role here in the group.
Are we tracing incels back to Marvel Superhero Squad show?
I'm
Is
sure
that
it's
what's
got to
happening
go
here?
deeper than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely
it
comic
has
books.
to. I mean, yeah, I don't want to put incel culture on any one group or individual, just because like I
It's
feel
sort of a
like
group burden.
yeah, I feel like that's like that old joke of like, to err is human, to really fuck up you need a computer. um, I feel like that's kind of incel. Like, there's a computer involved in that much fucked upness.
Yeah.
Um,
there's no one singular cause of everything going that bad. Like, as much as we would like to blame everything on the fedora, it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though that if you had to trace every single thing in incel culture back to one singular thing that is the problem, it is the individual incel members. They are the cause of like all of their problems.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But what causes them, that's an across the board, like they're like
That's
the
societal failures.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the shower drain, where it's like everybody's used the shower. The drain is just where all of the filth gets stuck. That's incel. We
Yeah.
all use the shower, but they're the ones that got stuck.
There's one more thing about the Tony Stark. They did sex stuff. He says he says to her like he didn't call her back or whatever because she's a special girl. But he's got a thing about dents, just to imply that she wouldn't bang him so hard she'd dent up his super suit. Is that what's going on?
That's what I assumed.
Okay.
Yeah, like up until then, I was like, I don't think that this is necessarily implying sex.
Right.
I think it is implying sex, but I could see a way around it. And then
Right.
when you got to the part where it's just like, oh, yeah, they're definitely implying sex now, I think. They're also implying the fact that Tony keeps his armor on when he's having sex,
Yeah.
which is also weird. But it's kind of true to comics because in the early days, Tony had to keep at least a torso piece of the Iron Man armor on
Yeah.
because it kept his heart going.
Right. And it does raise the question, like, could She-Hulk's vaginal muscles like crush Tony Stark's armor? So it would have Hulk strength, right? And all of her muscles, right? That's how you assume. She could get it. So it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
If he needs it to live, it's the medical prosthesis.
I mean, I'm assuming that she probably doesn't like actively work on her Kegels, so
Right.
Because like, what Hulk needs to work out that much? But
yeah, interesting that she does have to lift weights.
I took that as not that she had to lift weights, but
Right.
just that she was showing up Thor and Hercules.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Hercules yet.
Yeah, I took the weightlifting thing as like just a reminder to the audience to make sure that everyone who's watching remembers, oh hey, remember she's really strong too. Not just all of these other characters who you consider strong because they like show up and they say, I'm a really strong person.
Yeah, that was the woke moment of the show. To be like, oh, see, girls are strong too. See, we did something.
Attempts were made.
Yeah, attempts were made.
Or a singular attempt.
Yeah. So
I also didn't understand the jetpacks in space.
Yeah, but no suits, no space
but
suits.
no suits. Yeah, like that.
The one thing that I really, really loved, unironically, in the Superhero Squad show was when Iron Man and She-Hulk had to fly over. And the thing is, throughout the show, you see no one having spacesuits when they're out in space. When the two of them go over to the ship and they land inside the ship, She-Hulk starts breathing really heavy because she was holding her breath the whole time that they were out in space. I mean, and I was like, that's a very nice touch.
Yeah,
I like that.
I did enjoy the way she escaped the laser things by noticing that the walls weren't affected by the laser. That one I was like, that's that's actually pretty clever, especially for the Hulk. Any Hulk to just be like, oh, I'll just rip this off. The lasers can't hurt this.
Yeah, it's laser.
Granted, the Hulk could just walk through the lasers. That's not a factor for the Hulk.
Yeah, she was mostly holding the walls up for Iron Man.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the here's a clever way to not solve the problem.
Yeah.
I could just smash the lasers. That would be equally easy, but nah. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the theme song. It's almost sounded like an Offspring song or something. So that was pretty cool.
I did not care for the theme song very much. I didn't care for any of the voice acting other than Katie Sackhoff.
Oh, that was Katie Sagan. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the guy that does Thanos' voice. Like that voice actor.
I
Like
like that voice actor. I
Yeah.
hate that he was doing Thanos. Like I was like, I don't like this silly Thanos.
No, silly Thanos is really a bad character. And he's always been a bad character, even when he flew away in a helicopter that had his name written on the side. Like, and that's actual comics.
Hmm. And it was shouted out in the Loki series, I believe.
Yeah. It's Jim Cummings is the name of the actor. He did Winnie the Pooh. The one guy from the mustache mouse from Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. That's what I know most.
Monterey Jack.
Yeah, Monterey Jack.
I forgot about Rescue Rangers until right this moment in time. So
Good show.
I've never forgotten about Rescue Rangers because I blame that show. I would say at least 25% for furries.
that is very fair.
Like I'm sure that there's other things that led to that, Thundercats, and maybe even going further than that, the Fox Robin Hood.
Yeah, that thing that's number
Yeah.
one for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that. I feel like that's. It may not be like the largest percentage, but it is the origin point.
Yeah.
And I feel like Disney just in general gets 20% because you've got Fox Robin Hood and then Nala from the Lion King, and that created two generations that had sexy animals.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason why a non-human lion character needed to have bedroom eyes. No reason whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, they do end up having a baby together, right? So,
They don't have a
But
bedroom.
I mean, they didn't
Yeah.
have to animate it like that.
Right.
Like they didn't have to draw it purposefully to try and
Right.
make people think, boy, that's a sexy lion.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a way to show that she's horny, but it doesn't make you horny as a human man or a boy.
I mean,
Whatever.
it didn't, but I know that they were trying to, and
Yeah.
that upset me.
It's a thing where I understand even as a child, like something horny's going on right here. And
Well, I think the thing that bothers me about it, and this might be closest to the flashing that you guys get, is every now and again I see like a selfie or something with the Nala eyes, and I'm like, oh, it's like from the Lion King. Why am I just assuming this human person now is in that exact? I can't. I'm out. It just throws me out of it again.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating for humor. As a child, I never thought about it like that. It wasn't until I was an adult when someone was naming their three sexiest Disney princesses,
Right.
and then his number 3 was Nala, and I was like, okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Are you telling me more about you than you meant to tell? And he's like, no, not like that, man. And
So yes, he is telling you more than he meant to tell. If that's his response.
Yeah. And ever since then, every time I see The Lion King, all I can think of is like, this is drawn in a way that's supposed to make certain people horny. Why did you do that?
Yeah. Well, it was the same guy who hid the word sex in the leaves. He's just a horny guy.
Yeah, same one that
But
put a dick
his
in the castle for Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
he's
Are they
also
going to
the
bring
same
that
one
back for
that
the for the reboot? It's going to be a big black dick. Sign me down for that. Representation matters. Yeah. Somebody else. Thanos. Oh, when the female droid shows up to Tony Stark to show him the hologram of what's his name, Nova, right?
Yeah, that
Asking
was
for his help.
another attempt to appeal to the adults watching.
Yeah, at the end
And
of
yeah.
Star Wars
once again,
reference.
you didn't need to do that.
Also, the crack about New Jersey.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I clocked. Yeah,
Like,
you didn't need to do that. New Jersey
also,
doesn't
also,
have to
like,
be a punchline.
yeah, I just want to go and say, like, uh, general media, leave New Jersey alone.
Yeah,
Like, there's, I feel like it's gotten a bad rap and it doesn't need it. You're punching down at this point.
yeah,
And nobody
There are
has yet,
many worse states.
yeah.
yeah,
I think
like,
it all comes from New York people that like they always shit on New Jersey and like they just bring it with them into their writing because they write so many TV shows and stuff that it becomes a punchline for everyone else, but we don't even understand the context.
That
Yeah.
that that's a real good explanation, and it also puts it into perspective for all of the LA people that think that LA is better than New York,
Right.
and they see New York always talking shit on New Jersey. So, transitive theory, they're thinking LA is way better than New Jersey too.
Yeah. Everybody just has to put New
But
Jersey down. We need to teach children this at a young age. Before they know what New Jersey is, they need to know that it's a trash place.
everyone makes fun of New Jersey, but there's only one state that has a motto. Thank God for Mississippi. If you ever feel the need to look that up on Wikipedia,
Yeah.
or want to, but are too lazy, basically what it is that's what all the other states say when they come in 48th and 49th.
um, yeah, like, and I do have to say that, like, so I'm from Minnesota, for anybody who doesn't know, which is, the far north. Um, and I grew up with a healthy resentment of the South, which is still a holdover from, Civil War times. Um, but it took me growing as an adult to be like, oh, I shouldn't be holding the Civil War against an entire region um, of the country. And as much as the news and events of my adult life are trying to convince me that the entire South is still exactly that way,
Right.
I try to avoid Southern jokes and that kind of stuff now and confine it to just people that act that way. But general media do the same. Like,
Yeah.
by all means, make fun of trash people,
Right.
not sanitation workers. I mean, like, trash that's a euphemism for being awful.
Right. Human
Um,
trash.
yeah. Uh, but I think just like we shouldn't be making fun of people about their country of origin or whatever. We should stop making fun of states unless it's good-natured rivalry kind of stuff. Like, it's one thing to make fun of
Right.
your state. Like, I don't like Green Bay, which I consider a completely separate state from Wisconsin. But that's a good old-fashioned rivalry between Minnesota and the state of Green Bay that has paid for their football wins. Um, just like it's fine to hate the Yankees, but okay to like New Yorkers.
Yeah.
It's totally fine. But I feel like it's one of those things, like, and this is completely serious. I feel like making fun of New Jersey is kind of like, oh, we don't have a minority that we can exploit, but here's the state that we hate.
Right.
And it's somehow okay. And it's like, no, that's still just, you're trying to hit the same thing as the dog whistle, but with a different instrument to make it okay.
Right.
But you're still trying to hit that same tone. And it's the tone that's the problem
Yeah.
in this analogy, not.
Right.
Yeah, because what it is it's 100% just looking down on something.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone makes fun of New Jersey. It's like they look down on people from New Jersey for some reason. And it's like I don't think people from New Jersey are any worse than any other state because
Yeah.
there are terrible people all over
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, they could have made the same joke and just randomly said some other state and it would have been fine. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Instead, it's always New Jersey, and it's always like, oh, there's 6-year-olds watching, like, okay, that's the punchline state.
Yeah, it's a funny quirk if you name a random state.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, everything's fine except for South Dakota. And it's just like, oh, why does this character hate South Dakota?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like, there's a lot of reasons to not like South Dakota. I've been there.
Yeah.
Like, it's I feel like the only thing that saves South Dakota from being, you know, the most awful state in the north is the fact that you can drive for 4 hours in Montana and not find a McDonald's.
Wow, that's great.
Right. Like, name one other place in the free world where that can happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, no, but and I guess that's the other thing too is when I'm like, well, why does people hate New Jersey? Even people from New York can't really like put a finger on it.
Yeah.
Like, so
Everything that I've ever heard about people trying to explain why they hate New Jersey, it really sounds like, oh, people from New Jersey think they're just as good as us. It's
Yeah.
like, aren't they?
Yeah. Why is it you're so much better? Well, yeah. Good answers for that.
The only logical thing that I've ever heard about hating New Jersey is that certain areas of the state smell really bad. But again, that's the thing with a lot of states.
Yeah, every state's got they poop somewhere.
When I lived in Colorado, I lived in a town called Greeley. Greeley is a town that you can recognize by smell.
Yeah.
It is, I don't want to say a terrible place to live because I ate a lot of good Mexican food while I was there. And, you know, the rent was extremely cheap.
Yeah.
There was a South Park episode where Cartman put himself up for adoption because he thought he was going to get to live with a cool family out in Hawaii. And he was taken to Greeley with a sign that said, Greeley, the exact opposite of Hawaii.
And that's what made you, Chad, as I was born in Hawaii, to want to move to Greeley. Like, aha.
Oh, no, I lived in Greeley like about 7 years before that happened. And
Oh,
then when I saw that, I'm just like, that's kind of amusing. Because I also lived there with, like my roommate was from Hawaii. I went to school with him. He was one of the guys who encouraged me to actually learn to play the saxophone instead of just humming.
Oh. That's good.
So, is he also the one that convinced you to move to Greeley? Because I'm wondering how good his advice is. Okay, so it's like 50-50.
Oh, it wasn't so much advice, so much as like, hey, so he called me up one day and he says, hey, so you know that if you drop out of school, they kick you out of the dorms? I said, yeah, that makes sense.
That's what you see there.
Like, that makes perfect sense. I would totally expect that. And he said, I did not totally expect that. So I'm homeless now.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, what are you going to do? And he says, well, certainly not come home. He said, do you want to be my roommate? And I said, well, currently, let me look at my life. I work at a Papa John's. Yes, I've got nothing better to do. And I moved to Greeley.
I really enjoy adventure stories like that,
Yeah.
where it's like, well, I've got nothing else going on, might as well.
Yeah, try
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah, and like it was cool because like I went up there and got to see snow for the first time.
Oh yeah.
I moved up there the year that I turned 21, so we drove down to Vegas. I also won the one single game of Monopoly I've ever won in my entire life.
Wow.
Greeley, that should be on their tourism
Yeah.
board. Like,
You
forget
should write,
about the
you should write a
smell.
book about your time
We
in
can win.
Greeley.
You can win at Monopoly here.
It's like Greeley. Do you really have something better to do?
Yeah.
So just a side note story.
Yeah.
My family moved to New Mexico when I was 10, and the reason why we're moving is because my mom's family was all sitting around at my grandmother's store in a mall, um, complaining about how my aunt Mary's car had gotten stuck in the driveway during the winter. It had
Oh yeah.
gotten frozen in, and then by the time the thaw came, so much of it was rusted that we had to have it hauled out. Because there was just no way to get it out.
Right. Yeah.
They're like, why are we living here in a place where our car can freeze in our driveway and we can't use it until spring? And they literally were like, should we move? And they were like, yeah, we should move. But where? And right as they said, but where, somebody walked past the door and said, Albuquerque, New Mexico, in their conversation. And that was all of the decision making that went into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though that like kind of fucked up my life, I still really enjoy those kinds of stories.
I had always assumed that your family ended up in Albuquerque because of your everlasting love for Bugs Bunny.
That is why we almost moved from Albuquerque to Walla Walla, Washington. And that's not a joke. We almost moved to Walla Walla, Washington.
That place has my favorite name.
Yeah, I think it's the funniest name.
I'm sure that there's actually funnier places, but it's just such a pleasantly weird noise.
My sister-in-law and brother-in-law, they own a house in Las Cruces, New Mexico, that they bought a few years ago as a 4-bedroom house for significantly less than the apartment.
The amount that you paid for your condo?
Yes. But then I have to live in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So
And you get to live in Hawaii.
yeah. So really,
The opposite of Greeley.
Also, when you're living in Las Cruces, your nearest neighbor is like Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Yeah, that's where my brother-in-law's from. It's Truth or Consequences.
Which, when I lived in New Mexico and they're like, we're going to go past Truth and Consequences, I was like, but what's it really called? For like 3 years, I would not believe that there was actually a place called Truth or Consequences.
I could never live there because it's right next to Elephant Butte, which is spelled elephant but with an E, and I would never not call it that. So that's why
and I never did.
Right.
And has anybody actually seen The Rock in Elephant Butte?
I think so. I think we drove past it on the highway.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you meant The Rock isn't Dwayne Johnson.
No. So Elephant Butte is a man-made lake that has a big rock still in the middle of it that does actually resemble an elephant.
No, I don't think I saw
But if you go around to the other side of it, it also resembles an elephant's butt. So
they know what they're doing.
yeah, it is actually, so the joke works of there's Elephant Butte from the road, but from the water it's elephant butt.
The reason why I know of Truth or Consequences New Mexico is Mick Foley, Mankind, wrestler.
Yeah.
He had a persona called Cactus Jack, which was like the most hardcore version of himself, where he would like come to the ring with a baseball bat with barbed wire on it. And he was billed as hailing from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico,
This is such a
which
funny name.
which is absolutely not where Mick Foley was from. Mick Foley's from New York. He went to high
Oh,
school with the King of Queens.
really?
Yeah, they were actually on the high school wrestling team together. Him and
Oh,
what's his
Wow.
name?
Um, oh man,
Kevin James.
Yeah, Kevin James. Yeah, because that the name of the town, Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, was named after a game show that they held a contest and said, "Hey, if you legally change the name of your town to Truth or Consequences, the name of our show, we will give you this big, huge party, like a pizza party." I wasn't a pizza party, something like that, in like the 1960s. And like, yeah, we'll do it, sure. And they got a big party for it. They're still named after a show that only old people remember. Anytime I mention it,
that makes me feel a lot better though, because I was like, this. We've got Tombstone and we've got Truth or Consequences, and this is why Cowboys aren't allowed to name towns anymore, because it's just a lot of still waters, a lot of dead waters, a lot of just
nobody
like
takes
really.
town naming seriously around here.
But now that I know that it was a shameless plug for a TV show,
Yeah.
that makes me feel better.
Now I wish that there were more towns that did that.
Yeah.
I'm from the dating game, Wisconsin.
From Love Island, New Jersey. Oh God! Oh no, I did it. Terrible place other than New Jersey.
Survivor, Iowa was going to be my next.
That's a good.
What's I can't remember what the name of that shithole in Florida that Donald Trump lives in.
Oh,
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. That they should rename the surrounding area the Apprentice, Florida.
I think he would be down with that.
I think he would love it.
Yeah.
I think we should just like slowly build a penitentiary around Mar-a-Lago,
Yeah.
and just never tell him. And then like he wins, we win, and scandal is over.
Yeah.
They can have their weird little Handmaiden's Tale in there with. And is Mar-a-Lago named after his ex-wife?
Oh, I don't know.
Which ex-wife?
Yeah, I know it.
Marla?
Oh, that makes sense. Mar-a-Lago, Mar-a-Lago here, go home. Marla, go home. He kept saying that until they. You're like, okay, I guess that's the name of this estate.
It's just. Yeah, so vote. I call this
Sea to lake in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And we all know that he cares about what things are called in Spanish. So
He does love a good taco salad.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna eat a salad, it might as well be a taco salad.
that's true.
All of my favorite salads are Mexican: taco salad and Caesar salad.
Yeah.
That's one bit of trivia that's like stuck in my brain forever.
Mm.
It's like, oh, Caesar salad was actually created in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's not a Caesar salad.
It's a Caesar salad.
Yeah.
I think I saw that joke written on a menu or something once, and that's why I learned it. And it's like, this is in my head now.
Yeah.
Lives there forever. It's right next to Ernie with the banana in his ear.
Also, chewing gum was
Invented in Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
By a guy named Jesus, and that's why
Yeah.
It was originally called a chewy gum. You know, we just portmanteaued it into chewing gum. Not portmanteau, but whatever that word is called when you have it named after a thing. It kind of changes. And it's chewy is it's a what you call someone named Jesus. It's like a
Oh.
native with a form of Jesus.
I did not know that.
I
I
didn't know
had no
that
idea
either.
that Chewbacca was a Spanish name.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it would have more accents or something.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a. I don't know how to spell it, but that's I know words. The diminutive form of Jesus. And the last thing I had in my notes to talk about tonight was Nova. I don't know anything about Nova aside from what I've learned from Marvel Puzzle Quest because he's a character.
You know what his name is?
No, it's just Nova. That's all I know about him. And that he likes to fly around like a rocket man. He seems like he's a smart aleck.
He is the human rocket, as
Yep.
he declared on the show.
Hmm.
His name is Richard
Oh,
Ryder.
okay.
Dick
See,
Ryder!
Oh, nice.
He's
I see.
actually a great character. He is part of a long line of Marvel trying to be like, hey, you know what the kids really liked back in the day? Spider-Man. We should make a new Spider-Man.
Yeah,
And every 10 years or so, they would try and make a new Spider-Man with whatever they thought was appealing to the kids. Marvel was their 70s attempt at creating Spider-Man. I believe their 80s attempt was Speedball. Their 90s attempt was Darkhawk. Uh,
Dark.
I think the 2000s attempt to make a new Spider-Man was called Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
there you go.
the 2010s attempt to create a new Spider-Man was called Spider-Man Miles Morales
Yeah, I think
because
they got away
they
from all
gave up.
Spider-Man of it all.
Yeah. That's what they figured the problem was, because Ultimate Spider-Man was very popular, and so was Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah, those are the only two of those names that you've mentioned that I've heard.
Mhm.
Um,
But yeah, Nova, the human rocket, he is a member of the Nova Corps, who in the movies were a bunch of pilot space cops. In the
Yeah.
comics, they're a bunch of space cops who can fly around and shoot
they're
force
Green
blasts.
Lanterns. They're
Okay.
Yeah.
they're Green Lanterns, but instead of having a stupid ring, they have a cool helmet.
Mhm. And they can't
Like a
like
serial.
make
Yeah.
shape things. It's mostly just pew pew.
Like regular cops.
Mhm.
But it is, even though they are blatantly ripping off the Green Lantern Corps, the Nova Corps is definitely cooler in my opinion.
Right.
It's like a
Wait,
less
one-
ridiculous version.
And there's a version of something that's Marvel and a version of something that is DC. The Marvel one's always going to be cooler.
Other than
Generally
Batman.
speaking,
Yeah,
that's true.
Batman. Anytime you say anything about DC, you always have to have that asterisk next to it that says "other than Batman."
Like DC knows like where the bread is buttered.
Yeah,
There's a reason why they're called DC and not AC. Because DC stands for Detective
that's
Comics.
true.
When we talk about DC Comics, it's Detective Comics. They could have been Action Comics,
Yeah,
but they were like, no, I think this Batman thing, it's got some legs.
yeah, that's where it's happening.
But the thing about the Green Lantern Corps versus the Nova Corps is that the Green Lantern Corps, it's based on people who have an ability to overcome great fear. Like they're
Hmm.
supposed to be like the best and brightest, exemplary people of whatever race or planet that they're taken from. Whereas the Nova Corps, and this was like a later edition, not, I don't think this was originally present when they were created in the 70s, but there was an issue of Nova later along the line that recontextualized the origin to tell Richard Rider that he was chosen because he's average, loyal, trustworthy, and plain spoken.
Yeah.
The actual text is you're an average young man from an average life. We always recruit individuals who best represent the typical qualities of their species. We find they make the best Nova Centurions. They bring no arrogance or pride with them, no self importance or elitism. They understand the responsibility, appreciate the trust, and embrace the duty. And that's why they are the honest bedrock of the Nova Corps.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was like such a cool idea to
Yeah.
have it be like the complete opposite of like, oh, like the Green Lanterns are like the best of the best,
Right.
and it's like, the Nova Corps is apparently not.
Yeah. It's the best representation of your species.
Mhm.
Well, and I think too, like there is something too that like that if you come with a lot of privilege, you're going to bring that into it, and if you
Right.
come from a lack of privilege, you might be more inclined to get yours now that you have power. But if you're like straight across the middle, it's like, well, you're probably not going to abuse it that much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Side note, I know we're short on time here, but in the one thing that I did or realize from the Hulk TV show that I didn't bring up was the Hulk had clearly been on the run for a while in the
Right. Yeah.
show, but he hands down rented a lab at a medical facility to run an experiment. So we're all agreed he's like creating meth or something.
Yeah, he's got to fund his
Yeah,
adventures
okay.
somehow.
I mean, that's what an older guy who knows a lot of science, who hangs out with a younger man, who is seen by society as some kind of delinquent, and you
Right.
roll around the Southwest. That's what you do.
It's breaking Hulk. Like I
Mhm.
get it. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we were all got the same thing out of that throwaway line.
Mhm.
Okay.
Smashing bad.
I like that.
I think this is the part where David would be giving our goodbyes and telling you guys to follow stuff or something. But David appears to be frozen right now.
Yeah.
And also, he said that he had a hard cutoff time at 8 o'clock. And according to my computer, it is right now 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
So
he was
I'm
not fucking
actually
around with that.
just going to go ahead and close out this window. Wish you folks all a goodbye. We'll see
Next
you
week.
next week. Happy Halloween. Next week, we're going to be watching Werewolf at Night. It's going to be a live watch. You can watch along with us in case you have nothing better to do on Halloween, a holiday which most people tend to have fun. And we're going to watch Werewolf by Night.
All right. Good night.
Hey, oh, nope. Just me? Everybody else died? Oh no. Oh no, hey everybody, I'm back. It's just me. My internet died and Roy and Chad left. So good night, everybody. Here's that clip of the Simpsons I was talking about, and we'll see you next week for Werewolf by Night. Bye-bye.